Welcome to another day in the Matrix. This is Waters Above, wishing you all an incredible start to your week and sending you all love. I hope you all watched my last video that I put out about the lunar eclipse. I've been talking about that eclipse for over a half a year to prepare the Waters Above Wolfpack to expect another leg lower for the crypto market, and that's exactly how it played out to the day. On November 8th, the day of the eclipse, Bitcoin broke below 17,000, and since then we've watched many altcoins swipe to new lows in their structure, including FTX token, which I'll be starting off today's video with a Gematria decode on the FTX ritual and its CEO, Sam Bankman-Fried, to further prove how this entire market runs off of Gematria, Numerology, and Astrology. And exposing this is what really sets what we're doing here on this channel apart from the rest. If you know, you know. And for those of you who are able to utilize the information I've been sharing with you since you've joined this channel and made some moves to profit off of the insights I've provided, I just want you to know that I appreciate your support and I'm continuing to manifest abundance for all of you. It's incredible to watch this community grow and working together. Just every time we have these big volatile moves in the market, our community on Discord is helping each other out, working together, no complaints, just action. It's very rare to see, especially in this crypto space and amongst cryptocurrency investors. So what we're doing here is very special, and I'm grateful for every single one of you and looking forward to growing together and staying focused on the long-term vision where generational wealth is constructed. So to wrap up today's video, I'll be reviewing the charts of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP to share the setup for the rest of this week and to also share my outlook on the market as a whole at this time to provide some clarity for those newer investors that have recently joined the Wolfpack. So if you're new here, we do cryptocurrency technical analysis and combine it with Gematria, Numerology, and Astrology to understand these markets. Feel free to subscribe and turn on the bell notification to stay updated on when new videos come out. And make sure to give this video a like and share this channel on other conscious beings to help grow our community. And with that being said, let's take the red pill. So we're actually going to be kicking this one off with a little bit of a highlight reel from my last video, because I know my last video was a little bit longer, but there was some gems being dropped in that. So let's go back to it. Let's review a couple timestamps where I think if you would like to go and check it out yourself, you're going to watch a lot of what I shared unfold in real time. So here we are looking back at my last video. We're around the 26-minute, 40-second mark. And I say at this moment in this video that if we're going to expect a correction at this time, it will be now. So I was very, very blatant in this whole video and all of my analysis that I shared, and in all of the analysis that was leading up to this moment, to be completely honest, because I've been talking about this lunar eclipse and bearish energy and looking towards the bottom of the cycle around this time. I've been talking about that for a while now. But in that exact moment of that video, around 26 minutes and 40 seconds, I said that if we're going to expect a correction at any time, it will be now. And then I said it's because of the lunar eclipse. And the lunar eclipse energy started on the 7th, and it led into the 9th of the month of November. Then I mentioned that any trading below 18,200, which was essentially these wicks right here, we have a couple wicks right there and then one right there. I said that if we're going to get any trading below 18,200, then we will start to break the lows of mid-June. And then I pointed to over here. These are the mid-June lows, around $17,500. We watched that all come to fruition. Then I actually said around the 25-minute, 40-second mark, so I'm just going to kind of scroll back a little bit to right here. You're going to be seeing this yellow line across the screen. Now, this is crucial, this yellow line that I had on the screen, because if we look to where Bitcoin is trading today, let's just zoom out and I will show you. So there's that yellow line. I know it might be a little bit difficult to see because I have these moon cycles up, but that yellow line is right there. And let me zoom in and show you where Bitcoin's trading right now. So Bitcoin essentially just pierced right into those levels, and since has actually spent probably about the last 5 or so trading days gravitating towards that level. So that level that I shared was Spot on. And it's very important that we see that level for what it is, because it had everything to do with the last time, November, Thanksgiving time of 2020. We had a little bit of rejections around the prior retest of an all-time high. And then when we broke above it and actually solidified a new all-time high for Bitcoin, November 25th of 2020, we came back and back tested it one more time before we entered price discovery and before we had what was called an alt season for the altcoin market. So I was anticipating if we were going to come back down, it would probably be first to this level, and then later on, perhaps we could be having new lower levels. So over on my Patreon, I came out with a video that was an emergency update. If anyone's a patron of mine that hasn't watched that, definitely check it out. But I share some of the ideas behind lower levels for Bitcoin and potentially the entire cryptocurrency market. And I will keep everyone updated as we move along. But that yellow line that I shared in my last video, literally spot on to where we see Bitcoin trading at today. Another moment in my last video that was crucial was around the 30-minute mark when I was talking about XRP. Got a lot of people that follow XRP in this community. So around this 30-minute mark in the video, let me actually scroll a little bit further because it was a little bit later, but I was talking about this launch point right there, and it was around the 31 cent mark. So I was saying that XRP tends to return back to its launch point, and I pointed to 31 cents. I don't know if I'll be able to catch it in this video, but I was showing that it creates these Bart Simpson heads, and that launch point right there, I pointed to, and you're going to be able to see on the XRP chart today that we literally just wicked perfectly down to that point. So if I was to turn off all of this and just show you the price action, this was the launch point that I was speaking on. And this is where we came down to, perfectly wicked right down to those levels. We even had another tap down to it yesterday, and then pretty bullish reaction off of that. And these types of moves are normal for XRP. I even said in that video that we have these crown top distributions, which look like a Bart Simpson head. And now we're going to be moving over to this scandal, this conspiracy, all of this whatever. And I shared a little bit of analysis in my last Red Pill podcast about this. So if you're interested in my Bart Simpson analysis, you could definitely go check that out. But anyways, getting to what happened with FTT, FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, and I'm going to be breaking down this whole ritual for you guys with the code, with Gematria, Numerology, and Astrology. So let me show you how fixed this all is. This is all predetermined. This is all coded into the market ahead of time. So we can see that on this candle right here, if you look up to the screen and you pause it right now, you're going to be able to see that this date of November 9th, FTT lost 71.71% of its value. Okay, so it lost 71.71, and the wick low came in at $1.07. And you could see that right here if you were to look at the L, and it will say 107 if you look now. So there's the theme of the number 71 and 17 written all over this coin, and I'm going to show you exactly why that happened and why it's coded as such. But just pay attention to this. The fact that it lost and that day is so important because it was the lowest price we've gotten thus far. The lowest price we've gotten for FTT has been $1.07, and it happened on a day where it lost exactly 71.71% of its value. A human being could not possibly coordinate this. So let me show you by the code FTX, simply giving us 17 in Chaldean. Also, the CEO's name is Samuel. Samuel giving you 71 and 17, both of those numbers that we just were speaking on. Coincidentally, Talmud also gives you 71 and 17 in the same cipher, as well as Kabbalah. And that's very important. You see Kabbalah giving you 17 in Chaldean. This number, 17, is very important in these connections to Judaism and Jewish mysticism because 17 is the 7th prime number. Okay? So the number 7 is absolutely the most important number in Judaism, and it might be the most important number in our realm because it comes back to the Shemitah, which is that 7-year cycle that I've been talking about now for the past 2 years. And the 7th day in the week in Judaism is the Sabbath day. This is all about Saturn, all right? So I'm just going to leave it at that, because if you've watched my decodes in the past, you already know about the power of the number 7 and how this year in particular is so important, because it was the 7 cycles of 7 years, which is 49 years, and we've entered Jubilee. Jubilee being practiced on the 50th year. And I'm going to show you a little bit more in the code of this, how important FTX and this guy Sam Fried was in this whole ritual. So, of course, many of you were aware that the actual eclipse date was the 117 date, right? The 117, which led into the 118. Now, this is absolutely amazing, because the date that this all kind of kicked off on was that rollover, but look how on the rebound date, which was the following date after the 9th, we can pause the video and you can look right there how FTX rebounded 117%. Like, and coincidentally, if you type in FTX exchange, it's going to be giving you 117 English ordinal. So important, guys, okay? This is where it gets even deeper, because you see that connection to the number 45, and that 117% gain on that day. The high of that day was $4.50. And why is this so crucial? Because 45 and that 450 pump that it got in a rebound, well, lunar eclipse is giving you that 45 in Chaldean. And we spoke about this because this happened in the 45th week of this year. So if we go to week numbers, you're going to see right there, November 7th started the 45th week of the year. That's the 117 date. And that led through the 119 date, which is the day of that crash, and the rebound date, which was the 10th. Remember, November 10th is the 1-year anniversary since Bitcoin hit its all-time high. So it's just so amazing how this was all coded in to happen specifically around that time. And lunar eclipse giving you that 45, and this 45th week of the year being this very important lunar eclipse, which led to this FTX ritual. If you guys remember back to May of this year, we had the Terra Luna collapse, a liquidity crisis with Terra Luna, and that was on a lunar eclipse as well. That's why another thing that was proving that something was going to happen around this time. And now that I'm revealing you the code of all of this, now you can take what I'm teaching you and you could apply it to other things, and it's going to be very, very helpful in your own investment thesis. So let's keep it moving, because I have plenty of gems to share with you. But how incredible is that we see this correction of 71.71% down to $7, and we have all these connections with 71 and 17. And then the following date, we have a pump of 117%, literally, to $4.50, all coded in to this, and 117 coming up in FTX exchange, the actual name of the exchange. And you see that 49 square root of 7, that's 7 times 7. This was a classic post-Shemitah ritual. Something I've been preparing you guys about for a long time, to expect all of this time around the end of the Shemitah, which was Rosh Hashanah, September 26th of this year, to expect this sort of chaos. So I actually shared some funny analysis over on my Patreon of this Bart Simpson, and I share some lower levels if people are interested in it in my last Red Pill podcast that I released over on my Patreon. And I'm letting you guys know now that next week I'm going to be dedicating a very, very special podcast to the ISO 222 compliant altcoins. It will be part 2 in that series. So if you want to check out part 1, you can join my Patreon over at patreon.com/watersabove, and that can prepare you for the release of part 2, which will be coming up this weekend, this upcoming Sunday. So if you were to join Patreon, you'll also get access to my weekly podcast, as well as the Discord server, our community group chat that I was talking about earlier in the intro of this video. And you'll get live updates from me whenever I'm personally buying or selling any of my investments. And just to let people know, I haven't bought yet. I'm still being patient. I'm waiting for this market to come to me. I'm letting this all unfold, because you never want to try catching a falling knife. So over on my Patreon, that also will include access to the Livestream Archive if you guys like the live streams, and I'll be updating people to let them know whenever I'm personally getting back into this market. I'll share the tokens that I buy and the price levels that I bought it at. So let's get back to this guy, Sam Fried, really interesting birthday, first and foremost. Birthday being March 6th. That's the 3-6 date. And that comes back to the 3 6s or the 666, which comes back to carbon. You guys can do with that what you will. But let's type in his birthday on March 6th of 1992. And we're going to get something very important here. So we got 3, we got 6, and then we're going to go with 1992. And you can see that he is born on the 66th day of the year, coming back to what I just said before about the 3-6, the 3 6s. But this is what's really critical, is the fact that his birthday standard date numerology is giving you the 30, and he's currently 30 years old. So it was a ritual. You know, they just sacrificed his public image on his 30th year of age. But let's make this go even deeper, because I read this little snippet right here about how he is the second largest individual donor to Joe Biden. So think about this. His birthday numerology is giving you 30. He is 30 years old, and he had a huge contribution to this corpse zombie, Joe, and his name is 30 in Chaldean. This is just, it's super hilarious how this is all coded in, but I'm going to take it one step deeper and look at the donation amount. 5.2 million, that's the 52, and that 52 comes back to cryptocurrency, and this guy was a very important and influential person in cryptocurrency. You all know this. So is that coincidence? I'll let you decide on that, but I think that's really, really an interesting thing. The fact that he was born on a 30 date numerology and sacrificed him to the public eye now that he's 30 years old. And you can just tell that this is all going to be part of an exoteric thing for the masses to have their Twitter accounts blowing up all day and all this drama. And that's why I tried to make something that's revealing about what's happening here. I don't want to go into all the other nonsense that you probably already know about. I'm trying to reveal the code, you know, and the code is what will allow you to make bigger investment decisions and prepare yourself and to do the right thing in this market. You don't have to get, you know, drowned by the dopamine that comes off of Twitter all day. That's what I want to save people from, because that's where you get your time and your attention back. And when you get that back, you can use it to serve your purpose, as opposed to you being used as a resource to serve someone else's purpose. So let's move on to a date that's upcoming, and then we will get into the TA of this video. So I'm going to show you this date of the 18th, and I think that this will be an important date because it is the 322nd day of the year, leaving 43 days left in the year, as well as, remember we were talking in the beginning about the numbers 71 and 17, and this will be a 71 and 17 date numerology. It's very important, guys. So definitely pay attention to that. And you know, this 322 is the number of skull and bones. We have the 322. This was connected to that Rams and the Bengals Rams Super Bowl 56. I already went over that in my last video, but you know, the Roman numerals for Super Bowl 56 was LVI, which gives you 43. And the score of the teams was 23-20, like 23-20, the skull and bones number, and the total score was 43 between both teams. So I'm going to keep it moving, but I think this is really fascinating how we're coming up on this 322 date exactly at this time, and it is spanning 52 days since the last day of the Shemitah. So think about that 52 that I showed you before with the word cryptocurrency, as well as that number 17 being the 7th prime number. All right. So one other thing to move forward with on this is connected to the upcoming full moon, which will be going on in December 8th. And this is a span of 20 days apart from this date to that day. And the number 71 is the 20th prime number. So we got a deeper connection here, as well as these dates are both 17 date numerology. So 7, again, the 7th prime number, it's an important thing to consider now, especially what we've seen happen with FTX. Remember, 0.71% correction, and landing on $1.07 is the current low for this project. So super important stuff. And let's just move on to the last thing to mention about this date, which is it's 5 days out from the next new moon, which will be on the 23rd of November. So that's around the window of energy of the new moon. And since it's a Friday, the traditional markets are closing as well. With the conditions of the DXY at this time, it's a sign that this is a balancing act between the traditional markets and the crypto market as a setup for the December and the January full moons. So rewind the last 5 seconds of what I said, because you might want to take note on what I just said. It's really important to consider that we're not out of the woods just yet. We still have that full moon in December. Then we move into Saturnalia, and then we have that beginning of the year full moon, which is going to be happening like really early. I think it's in the first week of January, the 6th or so. So we know these full moons tend to bring us some more bearish energy. Now, let's consider what I was just mentioning about the December full moon and the January full moon. And I want to bring you into the charts of Bitcoin, and let's go back into the prior cycles and see what's going on there. So I'm just going to pull up a one indicator, which is the moon phases, and I'm going to turn off all my drawings, make this nice and easy for you guys to see. So this is the entire cycle thus far, and this is the prior bull run of 2017 December. We hit an all-time high, and then here we are in December 2018 where we hit the low, and this was about 7 days before that full moon. Just something to consider is there's always a window of energy. It's very rare that it's perfectly to the day every time, but there are many sequences where we're seeing all these big lows come in on full moons and all of these highs coming in on new moons. So let's back it up to the 2014-2015 cycle, and we can see right here we have our cycle top leading into a cycle low on January 15th. All right, so this is coming in again kind of within that window of time. Let's look at how many days. About 9 days, which is definitely a bigger window, but this was back before there was many altcoins. This was a lot more volatility. Now that Bitcoin has a much higher market cap, there's much more altcoins. It's become more mature, more sophisticated. It's following the lunar cycle a lot closer. So anyways, with that being said, I just wanted to show you how we're getting these cycle tops in the Q4 timeframe, and then we are getting these cycle lows within the same time about 1 year later. And that's showing us there into January and the last cycle here into December. Now, one other thing is to be said about this is this clean double bottom structure where we have a double bottom into August, and thus far we've actually broke below structure into November, as opposed to here we were holding structure and led to a recovery. So just keep in mind that these aren't the same footprint every single time, but they're within reason when you're thinking about big volatile moves either to the upside or the downside. So for me, I'm personally keeping my eyes on this upcoming December full moon, which will be December, I think it's 6th, I believe. Let me just look right here. December 8th will be that full moon. So you take a window of energy. It's 5 days before up to 5 days after, and that gives you kind of an idea of what to be looking out for. That would be like the 3rd of December all the way out to perhaps like this date right here of the 13th of December. And I revealed an important date in one of my podcasts that I did, one of my Red Pill podcasts. So you guys must be aware of that date. Now, let's move on to just some analysis real quick with Bitcoin. Now that we've broken below the structure, what are we looking for? So first things first, I'm not even going to pull up any indicators. I'm just showing you how on the weekly chart here, we have closed on a new low. And look at that low. If you pause the video and look right up here, we corrected 22.02%. 222. All right, and we're in the year 222. So fascinating. You know, like this is so fixed. It's just amazing to watch. So now that we've had this move to the downside, it's pretty normal for us to have a little bit of a relief on it. You know, it's rare that you just have this continuation time after time after time. You could consider this move back here, even with these two bigger red candles in a row. We did have a nice little green doji kind of move, and then we continued one more leg lower into early December. Perhaps that could be the play right now, where we're going to move up a little bit into the new moon of November, which is over the next week, and then kind of have one more little drop. Now that is what I would love to have happen, but TA isn't about what you want. TA is about the past performance, and that's kind of why I've been keeping my eye out on December as well. For me, the lunar eclipse of November was to just kind of get us in that momentum of more downside, and that's exactly how it played out. So on this weekly close, not looking so great, definitely more bearish. And we have a bi-weekly close coming up next week, and getting back above like 19K would be insane, but you know how Bitcoin is. It could really do whatever it wants at this time, especially with a lot of these retail investors shaking out. So here I am on the daily. I'm just going to be scrolling through a couple things. Well, we got a rejection on the 8. Let's see how that goes for today. All moving averages in a bearish posture where the 8 is below, and then we have our 200s at top. We have this crossover here with the 200 exponential below, above the 200 simple. That's not looking so great. But right there is the problem where this 8, the yellow moving average, is crossed below the 55 simple moving average. That's a wolf cross, but it's on the downside. So again, downside implied. And with that 55 settling above the 34, 21, 13, this is in a perfect bearish posture. So this all needs to correct itself. And typically when we have these moments happen, Bitcoin builds a base, and then it recovers, but it's going to take some time. We could see that moment happening right back here as well before the C-scam crash. We could see that moment happening right here actually as well, where you see the 55, this white moving average, is far above the rest of. So you're getting that kind of energy is starting out again now. For a moment, we were coiling up all together right there a couple weeks ago around this solar eclipse. And since then, now there's been a dramatic drop, and it's showing you the spread between the yellow moving average and that 55 at the top. So it's not looking too good, and this is more of a time frame to expect a base being full. Now, we have bounced quite nicely off of 15.5, but even yesterday we came down into 15,000 again. So this hasn't proven much to be the end. There could definitely be some more downside action, especially with that full moon coming in about 20 days from today. Keep an open mind to that, guys, because if Bitcoin wants to go sideways and down, that's going to really harm the altcoins. If Bitcoin wants to have another dramatic move like this, where it just kind of like breaks down into 14 really quickly, it could get bought right back up to 16 in the same day. All of that kind of stuff is what will just continue to drown out a lot of these useless altcoins. A good thing for the wolf pack, maybe not such a good thing for the average retail investor. So let's look at what's going on with Ethereum. Ethereum definitely played out a beautiful move following Bitcoin to those new lows. And let's look at this chart that I was sharing with you guys. I believe it was this chart right here. This is the chart I was looking at in the last video. So we had the bigger level right here around 1,000, which is the psychological support level. And I was telling you guys about this range between 1,360 and 1,240. And even though ETH has kind of like squeezed below into this prior trading range, it got sucked right back up into that horizontal trading range that I was exposing right here. We're right back in it. So if we can close a daily in this level, I would not be confused if ETH over the new moon comes back up into the top of this range. Just one last little swipe. For ETH to full-blown correct and come up to prior highs, that's very unlikely at this time. Just like I said in my last video, that it is unlikely that we move up. It is more likely that we take another leg down or have bearish correction before moving up. And that's how it's playing so far. But ETH is very strong. I just want to make that statement right now. ETH is looking amazing comparatively to a lot of other things. It hasn't even broke below the structural lows of June. So tip my hat off to ETH, and I think the investors that are in this project are clearly proving themselves more so than some of the other altcoins out there, which have gone on to take a new leg to the downside. This is looking pretty solid. Trapped in between this range right here would not be weird for me, especially if we're going to gravitate to the top of this one more time before rolling over again. And on the downside, I suppose if we close a daily below 1,200 for ETH, that'll be the move that'll take it down to about the middle of $1,000 one more time. Now, if we're going to see Bitcoin keel over into the December full moon, which is a scenario I shared earlier, that would be most likely what it would take to get ETH back below $1,000, even with as strong as the way ETH has been trading lately. So let's go back into XRP, which is just pumpy dumpy all the way around. I mean, it was beautiful to watch that price come in around 32 cents, around 31 cents, even again yesterday around 32 cents. But this thing's just zigzagging all over the place. So look at what it did. It smashed right back into the 38-cent range, which was a range that I was sharing with you guys in my last 5 videos. Okay, I was talking about if XRP is not able to hold the 38-cent range, it's going to come right back down to the 31. We've had that condition play out, but now we're just gravitating right back up to it, which is not a good thing. Even though it looks like a nice bullish bounce, over 20%, that's not good, because if we get rejected there, it's just going to confirm and solidify the 38-cent resistance. So rolling over from there and coming right back down would be totally normal, especially into the next full moon. So consider that condition. But on the other side of things, if we start to close dailies above 39 cents, even above 40, I'll say 40 cents. I think that would be a much more, intelligent decision to say 40 cents. If we're getting a daily close above 40 cents, if it's a 2-day, a 3-day candle, even better. That could be a condition to swipe us back up into this trend line, somewhere into 42, 43 cents, but it'll just be another lower high and nothing to get excited about. We just have more lower highs, okay? So they have been continuing now since April of 2021, and this recent Bart Simpson head fractal that we've gotten is no different. Again, keeping the XRP investors calm, focused, build your investment thesis at this time, guys. Don't get caught up in all the nonsense about Gary Gensler and settlements and the SEC. Get that shit out of your heads. It's irrelevant. Focus on what I'm sharing with you, what I've been sharing with you over the past year, and you're going to be able to make some serious moves in this market, because this thing just chops all around, and it is currently ruled by traders, specifically leverage, and they're really wiping a lot of people out in either direction. So play their game and don't let their game play you. And part of them propelling the nonsense and narrative around the SEC and Gary Gensler and all these things is to keep you getting played by the game. Remember, I told you that. So this is a clear pill. I know it's not easy to swallow, but this is the truth, and the truth sets you free. So just stay diligent at this time with your own investment thesis and don't get caught up in any of the theater. So I'm going to leave it at that. I feel this video is very revealing about the code and everything that's at play here. My short-term bias is looking to the November 18th date as a date that could be some potential volatility near the end of the week. Maybe some moves up into this new moon of November 23rd, but ultimately the December full moon, I think, is going to show its teeth. It's going to be an opportunity. I'll call it an opportunity because I think focusing on the bull and the bear narrative isn't really what the wolf pack cares about at this time. And final words of wisdom. I have my Patreon, my last podcast that I put out. It covers FTT, but if I could share any wisdom, it's stay as far away from this thing as humanly possible, okay? I shared the same idea with Luna, and we saw what happened to Luna. Don't get distracted by this, okay? This is the time where the apex predator, where the market leaders, the market makers, whatever you want to call them, they're going to be throwing a million distractions in front of your face. Do whatever it takes to prevent getting distracted at this time. Focus on you. Focus on your investment thesis. Focus on what's going on in your life. Trust me, it's what will bring you a much more prosperous outcome than focusing on the drama and the theatrics and the distractions. So I appreciate every single one of you. I'm signing out. Much love.